Hello everyone. Let's do this second Battleground, the fourth Forbidden Battleground. So this first one is going to be the Empire Clear, and this team might look pretty familiar to you, or at least some of them do, because a lot of them are from the Strategic Masters team that I used in the first Battlefield. So Lance and Vargas are coming on, so is Imelda. Egbert's going to be pretty important here too, because Egbert's always nice for maps like this where you want to distract people. And of course, SP Hein is here. I know SP heroes are kind of a borderline in terms of whether or not I should quote unquote allow them, but for this map specifically, I couldn't really figure out a way to do it that didn't involve SP Hein because I really need someone who packs a punch. And out of the units I have built, that is not like that's not an SSR. SP Hein was the only one I could find. So first I take out this spider. To me, the most important thing on this map is to avoid the spiders from casting anything on you because they are easily the most annoying part of this map. So here, Hein actually one-shots that orc with the fireball. That is actually necessary. I did bring fireball with the hope that it would one-shot the orc, but sometimes it does not. And if you're going to end up trying to copy this, and whoever you end up bringing in place of Hein, or if you bring Hein and he's not strong enough to kill that orc in one hit, you don't need to worry about it. Because I do allow for this strategy to not kill that orc. I just need to beat him up the next turn. So these aquatic guys are also pretty annoying. They do the laden 3C basically, although like they don't have the movement lock tied to the skill itself. They just have a passive that says they have a 2-block aura that makes you unable to move movement -3 and cannot guard. And obviously that's very annoying. You need to line up your characters in a way so that your tank doesn't get locked down by it, and obviously that's what I've done here. So here I just want to finish this guy off as quickly as possible because I don't want him running all over the place and possibly locking down my tank. So in this case, I actually reclassed Vargas into his infantry class purely because of these stupid zooming orcs that they have on this map. These guys hit really, really hard, and they move really far, and they keep stacking your stats so that they end up being really strong. So in this case, I'm just going to use Vargas to zombie to fight a bit. Vargas is just really convenient for any challenge where you might have to bring Empire units, or just any challenge in general, I feel like. As long as you don't have to face a lot of magic damage anyway. Because not only does he tank physical really well, but you have this nice safety net of him having basically 4 lives. So I need to stay away from the other merman, because he's also going to be using the Laden 3C style move, and because of that, I'm actually going to be using Hein's Teleport here to get him out of range. That skill does have 4 cast distance, so it goes pretty far. So now the spider is approaching me, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. Like I said, the one thing I want to avoid at any cost is to avoid getting hit by anything the spider is going to cast, because the spider's AoEs are not only are they annoying, but they actually do a decent bit of damage. So it's just not something you really want to deal with if you have units that are frail or just not that well built. This fight in general just has very aggressive units or very aggressive enemies that have very, very high stats, and most of the time you just get a lot of the units I have will just die in one hit. So I'm just going to back up and bait the spider over a little bit more in the hopes that I can just take her out before she gets to do anything. So, I do not have any skills up for Egbert, so I can't shoot my fireball from 3 spaces away. So I'm just going to use Hein here, and use his thunder attack. Should be able to finish him off with Lance. Alright. Now that I've taken out pretty much all the most actual threats on this map, I can finish this off pretty easily. So I did bring Forget on Egbert. Forget is actually a very useful spell on this map. It does do a couple things. The terrain created by the spiders is considered a passive effect. So if you want to take the hits from the spiders, but you want to avoid the terrain, you can use Forget or any other passive block. In addition, the Lancers are also have their guard, their 3-range physical guard. That's also a passive skill. They do not have any active guard, so you can just use that to your advantage. And passive block is actually very useful on this map. So that's going to be the last guy. Just take him out. And that's going to be it for the Empire clear. So next, let's move on to the Dark Reincarnation clear. So the Dark clear was pretty tough to do, mostly because the SR choices for Dark Reincarnation are pretty limited. And because of how far the enemies on this map can move, it's pretty hard to kite them around. I'm going to need to distract them somehow, so that's why I've allowed myself to use Bolzol. I have brought Bolzol, and he is using Sleep plus a Summon. Now, usually I don't use SSRs in these videos if I can help it, but I do feel like Bolzol is a relatively safe choice because he was free for a lot of players, and I think a lot of players do have Bolzol. Simply because he's such an important unit to have. Even if you don't plan on using him, he's a very important bond character for a lot of characters. So I think if I was going to pick an SSR character from Dark Reincarnation to use, I don't think Bolzol is too bad of a choice. So I'm going to send Egbert's Summon upwards here. And this is mostly to delay that spider from reaching me sooner. The biggest problem with this map is just how aggressive these enemies are and how many there are. So I need to slow them down whatever way I can. So here I actually attack the Lancer by attacking the Orc and having him the Lancer guard. The main reason I'm doing this is not only does it allow Freya to run further because she acts again, but I also want to burn down the turns on her skills because I want maneuver up soon. I'm gonna need maneuver to stay safe from a lot of these enemies because, like I said, they do have very long striking distance. So now I'm gonna use the skeleton that Bolzol summoned to bait over this Orc. Freya is of course using Ruler's Bow, and she's also using Divine Boots. These are both pretty essential for all the movements I'm doing here. So the Mermans have 3 move, and they can attack from 4 range away using their Laden 3C styles skill. And the spiders can move 5 and attack from 3 spaces away. So that's why I need to play Keep Away as much as I can with increased range of some kind. And I actually bought the Egbert exclusive specifically for this purpose. Now, as you can see, I actually used Forget there, and that was to disable the Lava Titan's guard. I needed to do that so that I can swap positions with the Orc into a spot where it's safer to attack him. So now all these enemies are bearing down on me, and it's going to be pretty scary, but I should be able to chip them away in such a way so that I can survive. So I'm actually going to single target the spider here with Varna because I want to keep her 1,000 arrows up for the next turn. Because the Norman on the left is coming towards me, and I need to stay away from him. His threat range is going to be pretty big. I'm going to do a couple extra hits on this orc here. Weaken him enough so I can kill him the next turn. So the mermans, when they use this 3C style skill, they don't seem to prioritize attacking ranged units. They just seem to prioritize attacking whoever's closest. So I got Sonya to take that hit, and I actually lose Sonya here. So once again, I cast Forget. Alright, AoE, Varna. This takes out the orc. Sometimes the orc doesn't die from that. You know, I can finish off the orc by using Phrygia later. So here, Bozo chips away at the Lava Titan a bit more. And then I kill the Lava Titan. And at this point, if the orc was still alive, I would attack the orc. I would have class disadvantage on Phrygia, but I would still have my sorceresses up, so they do the majority of the damage for Phrygia anyway. So now the summon skill is back up, so I can just use that to bait the attacks now. It's actually pretty simple from here on out, because both Egbert and Bozo have a summon, and I have other ways to survive if I really need to. Phrygia especially, like, I have Last Rites on her and Regenerate, so if I run around long enough, she will restore her HP, and I should be able to survive one hit from the Merman. But I'm not going to need to do that because I can just keep him occupied with these summons and keep throwing out. And Sleep is back up on Bozo as well. That's also going to give me another turn of free hits. So yeah, the Dark Reincarnation here was pretty tough to do. But thanks to Egbert and Bozo, and well, everybody was important for this clear, honestly. But the rest of it is just chipping away at this guy until he's gone. So I can just use Sleep Proposal now. The nice thing is that this also allows me to melee the guy with Varna if I really needed to. I shouldn't need to. I also didn't bring Hellfire Archers on this particular run for Egbert, which I really should have. Would have made the fight go slightly faster, but it's not a big deal. Clears it anyway. So next up, finally, is the 29,000 power challenge. So just like with the first battlefield, I am going to be using 4 units for this. This strategy is going to be similar to the one that I used for the, well, both the Empire and the Dark Faction, because Egbert is here once again to distract the enemies with his summon as needed. But since I'm limited on which units I bring Sophia to buff the characters, and Vargas is still here because Vargas is great for stuff like this. And finally, I bring Chris, and that is because, like I mentioned in the Empire clear, or even in the Dark clear, I believe, these spiders are enemy number 1, in my opinion. Those spiders are just the worst. Unless you have a team of only holy characters, they're just gonna give you a bunch of really nasty debuffs and they do a lot of damage to you with their AoEs, and you don't want to deal with that. So once again, Egbert's summon comes out to distract these guys. I'm going to teleport all the way to right here, outside the range of any of the enemies, or at least their normal attack range. Now thankfully the spider actually moves first, between her and the merman. I'm not entirely sure why that is, because the merman on the left moves first, so you would think the merman moves second on the right, but the spider actually moves first, so that allows me to distract both the spider and the merman on the right. So this turn I'm going to be chipping away at these two. So Egbert's going to be chipping the Orc a little bit, and then I just need to take out the skeleton here. Which should be relatively simple. The skeleton has almost no soldiers left, so Chris should have no problem taking out the rest of the damage since she is a whole unit. If you need someone killing demons, Chris is always best at that. So I did bring Chris's 3C mostly because I want to be able to hit certain KO benchmarks, and that's why I also brought Rewind. That's very convenient here. Redemption plus Benevolence on Chris does have a pretty long cooldown, so the Rewind is going to help me deal with that. So here I'm going to cast Forget on this huge group here. Mostly I want to hit the Merman. This disables his move lock because that is a passive skill on him. So I'm going to be able to guard next turn just fine. And one of the nice things, once again, about Vargas is not only is he very tanky and not only does he have multiple lives, but he also has 3-range guard, which again is another nice safety net for maps like this, where sometimes the AI performs in ways that are very bewildering. Sometimes the Merman decides to pull Egbert away a little bit further, but as long as it's within 3 blocks of Vargas, I'm still going to guard. So it's not a big deal. This Orc takes out Margus' life. Not a big deal. The other Orc should be too injured to finish off Margus. And now the Spider's in range, and since Chris is magic damage, she has no problem hitting that Spider, even with that Lancer next to it. I just have Margus attack here to not only chip the Lancer, but also recover some of his own life using Regenerate. So I'm going to summon him with Egbert, and he's going to be used to distract that Merman on the right. Alright, so I buffed up Chris with Sophia just now, so I can just take out the Spider. And I do have Chris's exclusive. I had it activate earlier in the fight as well. Allows you to act again, run away, or attack another enemy, as long as you kill a demon first. So as you can see, these Orcs take like no damage. They just have crazy amounts of defense and magic defense, and that's why Egbert is going to be very useful for taking them out. Vargas does counter for a decent bit of damage as well, because he has such high attack. He is able to break past that really high defense and magic defense that these guys have. As you saw, Chris did very little damage, even with their 3C. But since I'm in a position now where I can easily survive, all that's left is cleaning up the enemies. So I can just cast Forget here and disable the guard lock for the Merman again. Since Regenerate is still up on Margus, I just cast Heal on Chris here to give her an attack buff. And once again, you can see that the Orc takes almost no damage. Right. I actually get Vargas killed here. But it doesn't matter because, like I said, he has 30 revives. Makes stuff very simple. All that's left is cleaning up these last two enemies, and I'm home free. So that's going to be it for the second battlefield of the Fourth Forbidden Battleground. Well, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.